All right, class, this is our next set of notes as we are going through our foundation unit. The next thing that we're talking about is government breakdown. We're going to talk about what is government, differences between limited and unlimited governments, and et cetera, et cetera. So make sure you copy down all the information that you see today. So first off, we have two definitions for government. The official definition, if you looked it up in the dictionary, is going to be something along the lines of this: the organization or agency through which a political unit exercises authority and performs functions according to the distribution of power within it. That's a lot to know. That is a very complicated dictionary definition, and I think that's going to be kind of tough to remember. So what I always teach is that it's the body that rules a country based on how much power is given to it. So we're talking about the power given to it by the people primarily. So we're going to look at different examples of how different governments are ruling. There are two types of government that we have. The first type we have is limited, and this is the power of the government is controlled by the people who are governed. So people get to vote on everything, they get to have leaders, have a choice in stuff that's going on. They're limited by something, and usually that thing that's limiting them is called a constitution. So a constitution limits power because it tells them exactly what they can and cannot do. Another thing that we have, another type of government that we have, is an unlimited government. And an unlimited government, sorry, my paper didn't fold in there correctly, is the power of the government is not controlled by the people and is allowed to make laws and taxes to benefit itself. Basically, you do what you want when you're the leader. Not a bad way to do it if you can keep power. But we have limited and unlimited governments, and these are the two types of things we are going to see off and on through the entire school year. So we got to make sure we get these two terms organized in our heads. So when we think of limited government, we have different examples. One example that we have is democracy. This is the kind of government that we have in America. A republic is where you vote for a representative and they go represent you. So like somebody represents Lubbock in the state level and roughly from Lubbock to represent us at the national level. And then a constitutional monarchy. Sorry, the AL got pulled off the end, but it's constitutional monarchy. And this is where a king or queen only has certain power based on a constitution. Currently, this is like the king or the queen of England and how she is able to rule. Under unlimited, we have things like a dictatorship, where we have a dictator who tells everybody what they can and can't do. They take it or leave it. He has total control, often kills his people. Just a very, very bad place to be. A traditional monarchy, this is where a king has total control. An example of that is in Thailand. A theocracy, where people believe that God is ruling them. We saw this primarily in Egypt, and today in Iran, we're still seeing a version of a theocracy. And then finally, a junta. We see a junta in a couple of different locations. Argentina had one in the 70s, and currently today in 2015, there is one in Thailand, and a couple other places there are as well. So these terms we will see at some point during the year, and we'll have to figure out where they were. Were they under our limited side or were they under our unlimited side? Okay, the makeup of a government. Under limited, there's usually three branches of government. First, we have a legislative branch, which makes the laws. These groups make all the laws, and remember, legislative laws start with an L. We have a group that, the executive branch, this is like the president in the United States, that enforces laws. So execute and enforces both start with E. And then finally, judicial, which interprets the laws. This is the court system. They look at the laws and see how they work with the Constitution. So we have these three groups for limited. Under unlimited, they typically have about 3 or 4 different ways that they can do stuff. We have one person makes all the decisions and you like it or leave it. We have a political party that makes all the decisions. It's kind of like the Communist Party in Russia during the Cold War. A council where they have one group of people kind of have a say, or a family like they have in a monarchy. So these groups have total control and people kind of follow directions. There's no distinct parts because nobody's going to really give up too much power when they have it. Finally, Examples from around the world, kind of back what we were talking about before. So the United States is a limited government. England today is a limited government. Athens and Greece and the Republic of Rome. These are all examples of limited government, and these are who we get the ideas of democracy and republicanism. It even says republic. Under unlimited, we have a junta in Argentina, as we said before, a communist dictatorship in Cuba, North Korea, and China, and a monarchy in Japan. There are other examples that we're going to look at, but these are just some of the main examples that we'll see throughout the school year. So make sure we get everything copied down in our notebook and be ready for the next set of instructions.